Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the Doctor himself.
Hello.
Each week we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you. Did it.
Nice. I mean, it's not that impressive. We've done 137 of these.
What, and I can sort of do it without looking?
You barely managed to cover up the script and do it this time. But kudos.
Hey, you know what? I still do it better than the previous person.
Who?
Each week we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you. Fucking nailed it.
Yeah, but why did you go back to it?
Because I wanted to just do it again to show that I could do it.
It's called a victory lap.
Goddamn
It's
right.
called showboat.
It's what I did in high school.
Excessive celebration. Penalty.
We got a review.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. We're catching up on all of these. We are up to 52. We've surpassed 52.
Yeah.
But now we're going to kind of go over because we've announced it, but we haven't actually read them all out. So
yeah, exactly.
So we're gonna slowly do that. But if you guys keep sending them in, we're gonna be able to keep doing it.
We're over 52. We've got our date booked.
Yes,
our tattoos.
Our tattoos. Okay, what if I got a tattoo of tattoo?
A tattoo of a tattoo?
No.
Of the military unit?
No, tattoo from with the island with the
Oh, okay.
Yeah, literally it's the plane like that tattoo.
Yeah, I mean you could. It's not DC related.
Fantasy Island, that's what it was.
It's not DC related.
Well, no, but a side tattoo.
Oh yeah, well definitely do that then.
Well, this review was from MWM Can, which I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's more positive than MWM can't, so
I suppose so. MWM Can and damn tootin'. On iTunes with a 5-star review and the subject, love it. They go on to say, the hosts have a great chemistry. I mean, if you're talking about the mixing of DNA, then
body
sure.
chemistry.
Yeah. Biology. Sense of humor. And share fun stuff about the DC universe. Hey, somewhere in between that.
Yeah.
After I found it, I ended up binging on them the rest of the summer to catch up. Just happened to have been August 31st. But
500 episodes of summer.
We are nowhere near 500 episodes.
Yeah, you double listen to a few.
Yeah, we're still you'd have
triple listen to all of them.
Yeah, I'll give that one too.
Yeah.
And in brackets, that's the word. They say it's rare that I do that.
Wow. Well, thank you, MWM Can.
I'm so glad that you broke your arm and were stuck in bed for that entire time.
Sorry, you broke your what?
Leg? I don't know.
Did you say
I was trying to find
broke your Harmon?
I said arm. I said arm.
I thought you made up a body part.
No, I was trying to say that the only reason
I thought you were trying to say hymen, and then partway through you were like, "That's not bedridden," and then you tried to make it something else.
No, what I should have said was that I'm glad they got in that car accident, and then I brought them to my house and chained them to a bed and made them listen to Dr. DC episodes.
Yeah, this review just says misery.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I watched that for the first time the other day.
Isn't it fucked up?
Yeah, it's real fucked up. Kathy Bates is a boss, though.
Great movie.
Great actor.
Incredible performance.
Yeah.
But, holy shit.
Yeah, it's. We also watched The Tall Grass, which was.
Yeah, that looks pretty fucked up.
It was stupid. It was really dumb.
Oh, damn it. It's such a good premise.
I know. And then it gets real stupid.
Fuck.
Yeah. It's great up until maybe I'd say 30 minutes in, and then it gets real stupid.
That's kind of like what happened with The Happening. It's good for the first 40 minutes, and they're like, oh, it was the trees, and you go fuck.
Yeah, there's definitely it was the trees moment at one point, and it's terrible. But thank you for that review, WM or MWM Can. I want to know what that means.
My Wiggle Moose can.
My Wiggle Moose has a first name.
It's Can.
It's Can. We're going back to that real solid dead silence that we used to get. Remember when Dave Rossi said some podcasts shy away from those dead silences.
Not us.
Some may say that's wasting content, but not the Dr. DC podcast.
We're pretty avant-garde.
This is, oh my God, I shouldn't even be saying this, but I was talking to Kyle the other day.
Oh no.
I was talking to Kyle Clark of podcasting, and so I said the juiciest thing I've ever said.
Oh no.
I said that he and I make the equivalent of jazz in regards to podcasting.
Because it's about the words you aren't saying.
It's because it's
the spaces you live
because it's
in.
about the free form and we just go with the flow. And,
Right.
you know,
That is super pretentious.
Yeah, it was I literally was like, I hate that I'm about to say this.
And what did he say? Did he say never say that again?
I think his response was, he's like, I'm upset that I've thought the same thing.
You guys are so meant for each other.
I know. Oh God, that's fucking
How are you
good.
going to tell your wife?
She knows. She's part of it.
Why do you make it all about group sex?
Because I'm a cuck.
It's back, baby.
Yes. Better than ever.
All right. Well, shall we go to the news?
No, we don't have any news.
Oh, we have no news?
No, because all that's being stuck to the Patreon.
Oh, well, sweet. That's fine.
Yeah,
we can do that. Right, because all of the news was related to New York Comic Con.
Yes, so that we will talk about that on the Patreon.
Fair enough. That makes sense. Well,
so either we gave you the thing you've always asking for, which is stop talking about the news, or
it's only for this week, so don't get fucking used to it.
Yeah, or one more reason to give us money, baby.
Yeah, give me your dollars.
Gimme.
I want them. Shake out your lunch money.
I told you you're not allowed that close to high schools. Let's talk about this week's theme.
This is week 2 of Doctober. And Doctober this year, we're doing Dystopian Futures Month. Every week, we're taking on a different horrifying possible future of the DC universe.
Yeah, that's right.
Last week, we did the very contained 6 issues of Nightwing: The New Order. This week,
you gave Daddy just a taste.
Blew it wide open, baby. We're talking about Future's End, which was a massive 48-issue weekly series. It included dozens of tie-in comics, and it was related to some other tangentially sort of related to some other events like Convergence and Earth 2 World's End and some things like that. So last week I gave you the New 52 Futures End number 0, which was like the intro issue, just to give you a taste of the sort of the futures we're dealing with here. So do you want to take us through?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think I described this in the last podcast, but we got some very angry eyes on this.
Oh, the cover, yeah. Specifically an angry brother eye.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, technically it was if it's Batman Beyond's eyes that I was talking about.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But yeah, brother eye's right behind there.
Yes.
It's something I can't get to now, but it's fine. Yes, so the cover of this is the Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis, yes. Yeah. Above a bunch of robotic-looking versions of what we may know as partly as a version of the Justice League. So,
and they're all sort of body horrored.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal looking, and it's pretty rad. It's also Free Comic Book Day comic.
Yeah, this one came out on Free Comic Book Day,
which is pretty cool. Yeah. But so we get what I love about this book is it jumps right into the shit. Yep. Like what?
Just keep going. It's okay.
What's wrong? What are you making that face about?
It's all right. Is that how you open? Is that how you open it and read it?
Oh. I bent the page back. To be fair, that's not how I read it. That's just how I read it right now.
Whatever. It's all right.
Yeah, no. Yeah, your face said it's all right.
It was a visceral reaction that I couldn't contain. I'm sorry.
So the book starts right in the shit. You get a panel of you get sort of this overarching panel of Brother Eye flying through a city, and there's a group of people who are going like, he's coming. Like I got a transmission from Budapest that he was on his way, and he was just like, who the fuck is coming? What's going on? And then Flash suddenly shows up, and it's an old man Flash. We're in the future, baby.
35 years in the future from when this was written.
That's right. Yeah, it says 35 years from now.
Yeah.
But not now, but then now.
I mean, this is the magic of books.
Yeah. Whoa. How could you even comprehend it? But yes, and so we're in this, it already looks sort of like a little post-apocalyptic sort of, like people are dealing with some shit. Shit. People aren't happy. Things aren't going good. The Flash is not in a good place. But he ran there basically just to see. He's like, I've been running all night. He's like, there's only a few bugs outside, and you're like, bugs? What the fuck's a bug? That's when suddenly fucking a Bugder woman shows up. And has fucking blades for arms and is this robotic bug with like sort of Wonder Woman on the top of it.
Yeah, so the idea is that as Brother Eye is assimilating heroes, they get like on the cover, they're all body horrored. It's like maybe some flesh or some of their old body, but then they're like ripped open. Then they've got mechanical legs or arms.
They're
or
like 90% robotic.
They're mostly robotic.
And basically they got in this huge sort of battle, and people are like getting their arms fucking chopped, their hands chopped off.
Yeah.
With her sweet ass like blade hands.
Yeah. I think she cuts Captain Cold's hands off.
Yes, it was Captain Cold's. Yeah. And just like puts a fucking blade through another dude's like stomach, and at the same time is like also kind of like turning them into robots at the same time.
Yeah, like assimilating them.
Yes. And it's a pretty brutal battle, and that's when suddenly Frankenstein shows up.
Yep.
Which I gotta say, when I read this, I was like, pardon?
Oh, this might be your first encounter with the DC Frankenstein.
This is 100%.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So I was like, what? Sure, Frankenstein's here. Why not? And he's basically he's just like what does he say? He's like, oh yeah, he's like, Flash, you were once a noble warrior, a friend. He's like, so I'm going to give you a chance. He's like, to join Brother Eye. So obviously, you can't really tell because it's Frankenstein. He already looks like he's made of a bunch of different things.
True. Yes.
And then he, this looks like a penis. Weird. So I'll show you later. It's kind of funny. But he basically realizes that Frankenstein's been assimilated, and he's just like...
Actually, he hasn't. Frankenstein has just willingly joined Brother Eye.
Is that
Frankenstein
what it is
one of the only characters that is not robotic.
Oh, that's because Brother Eye showed him the way, and he made... Because he suggested something happened to Black Canary. And then he says, he's like, Brother Eye showed me the way. And then you realize that just her fucking face is like attached to his chest.
Like grafted onto his abdomen.
Yeah. And then he's just like, well, not all of her. And then he uses her voice out of his chest. It's fucking...
And it like destroys
brutal.
The Flash.
Yeah. Just like you see it, like the Flash's like skin and everything is just being obliterated.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool.
Yeah. Because the Flash, of course, refuses to join Brother Eye.
Well, of course. And now we go, and this is basically a bunch of like vignettes of different heroes dealing with this sort of new dystopian future that we're in. So now we're with Blue Beetle and Green Lantern.
Yeah. I think it's John Stewart.
It is, yes. And it's interesting because they're suddenly coming into this sort of like huge den of these bug robot dudes. And they're just going like, I just wish that we weren't like just here to create a diversion.
Yeah. Yeah, they're basically cannon fodder.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like they just go in knowing they're going to die.
Yeah.
Just brutal. And it's they basically just immediately just get completely torn apart. I'm like, how is this a distraction?
Do they fight the brother-eyed like Superman?
Yes, they do. Yeah, absolutely. So that's basically right away Blue Beetle gets taken out, but then it's Green Lantern, and that's when the Brother Eye Superman shows up. I like that he's even got like, it's not even that he's been just assimilated, but he also has like the S on his chest is also an eye.
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a neat design, yeah.
it's interesting that they went to that level of like, I like the idea that Brother Eye like also like redesigned like his uniform.
Brother Eye is all about branding.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's a level that I can really get into. And you see basically these blasters come out, and they're actually it goes right at his like Green Lantern ring, and starts turning his arm into like robotic.
Yeah,
fucking rad. And then I don't know who this one is. The purple girl,
Amethyst, Princess
Amethyst.
of Gemworld.
Okay, that makes sense. And she's got like this like half robotic face already, which is I don't know if that's just something she has.
Is it robotic or is it just fucked up?
No, it looks like metal. Like,
oh yeah. No, that's not. I mean, normally how she would look, but she again, this is the 35-year future.
Her face is also kind of fucked up too.
Yeah, so she's in there, and I think she's with Grifter.
Yes. Yeah, that is who that is.
Yeah.
And they suddenly come upon the Superman and now robotic Green Lantern, whose like head's like coming off like on this like robotic spine thing.
It's fucked up.
So fucking cool.
Yeah, it's not just like the Borg where you get a couple of implants. This like being like activated by
apart.
Brother Eye is pretty horrifying.
Yeah, it's real like some decent body horror. And that's when you go to now Wayne Manor, where it's basically it's not even like a house anymore. It's just this like is that the Justice League like spaceship that's like flying overhead?
No, I don't think that's the. Well, maybe it's meant to be a version of the Watchtower. I think it's just meant to be some sort of like Brother
Station.
Eye kind of orbital sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
It's possible it's meant to be the Watchtower. I hadn't thought of it that way though.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it. And it's shooting a beam down, and you go underground, and Bruce Wayne's there with Terry McGinnis. Bruce in his the Bat costume, obviously Terry as well as in the Batman Beyond costume, and they're basically just going like, I like. Do you know what's at stake? Where is this coming from? And he's just like, the ends justify the means, and they're trying to basically making a decision to obviously do something that probably isn't a great idea.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize that Terry says, I'm still having a hard time getting my head around this. I mean, time travel? So you realize this is a fucking time travel story. Which
is a real Last Gambit kind of
thing
for them.
Oh, Last Gambit, eh? No?
Bonsoir.
There can only be one.
Oh, bonsoir, the future's end.
That's right. Bonsoir. La bibliothèque. And basically, Bruce is saying like he's going to go back in time, and Terry's obviously a little bit concerned, but they both realize there's nothing else they can do.
Yeah.
That's when obviously that blast that was coming up from above goes through the ceiling, and they get all of these fucking sweet looking bugs coming in through. I'm assuming it's that it looks it's that like who's that sort of medieval.
I think that's meant to be like Knight and Squire, the British.
That's what I was wondering if that's who that was. Yeah,
Batman and Robin. Yeah.
It's fucking cool. I like the dude with the beret. Yeah, there's some really I just love the designs of these robots. Though I don't like this, like it is a little Jim Lee of the Batman design, but abs on abs.
Jesus.
But yeah, it's a sweet giant. I like also Terry goes flying back, and you see like an image of the Robin suit in the background.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so basically it just turns into this sort of all-out brawl. And there's a countdown that basically starts at the very end of this page. And sort of as this fight's going on, you see that Bruce Wayne is got taken out. And he's telling Terry that he needs to go back.
He like loses an arm.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he totally.
It's like pretty serious injury.
Yeah, it's not something that he's going to be able to go back in time and deal with.
Yeah.
And so he tells Terry that he's got to go do it, and he gives him the device, and he gets shot back in time, which he then shows up. And God, it's so fucking cool. Like just as the last moment is like this, like arm is coming after him and grabbing him, and so like it gets like split in half through the portal.
Oh yeah, like one of the thing. It's a version of Plastique that had been sort of assimilated comes after him, and ends up partially in the portal.
And then we're sort of at the end here, and he's gone back in time, and he's like, his computer's like, oh my. Which is very funny. It's not a thing you expect a computer to say.
Oh my.
Oh my.
George Takei as the computer.
Yes. And he's like, oh my what? And he's like, we seem to have missed the target date. Yeah.
Does he not call his computer by name here?
No, he doesn't.
At all?
No.
Okay.
That's why I'm like,
okay. Well, when I tell you what the computer is, the voice is a little strange.
Why? What is it?
It's Alfred.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh my.
I believe we missed our target date.
We seem to have missed the target date. And what you've traveled to the past to prevent is already in play.
That's right.
Damn. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you're not supposed to.
Well, so yeah, I mean, a little context before we get into the actual questions about things. So for people, if we haven't brought it up before, who are unfamiliar with Brother Eye is used to be just part of a thing that Jack Kirby created called OMAC, which was like a satellite that gave cool superpowers to a guy. And he was the one-man army corps. And then years later...
It's actually Brother Eye is what the pirate Hulk Hogan says.
Brother Eye. Only when he agrees.
Aye, brother.
But then years later, during Infinite Crisis, they retconned Brother Eye to be this, like, basically a satellite that Bruce had created to sort of monitor and possibly, if necessary, neutralize superhumans.
Yes.
And it gains sentience, and it creates these things called OMACs that were just basically like, kind of like the Sentinels almost in X-Men, right? They could take out metahumans and things like that. And so since that time, OMAC, Brother Eye has sort of been like, in various forms, some sort of like threatening orbital satellite that does not like superhumans for whatever reason. So this is a story that's another take on that. So that's why it's Brother Eye that they're up against there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the premise, again, Bruce says he's going to go back in time 35 years to stop this from ever happening. There's a line that they exchange where it says something about, like, after all, we're talking about killing a man or something like that. So you know how desperate Bruce must be.
Yeah. Basically, what he says was like, whatever you do, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
And don't talk to Clark.
Yeah, he says, don't talk to me because I will try to stop you.
Yeah, don't talk to Clark because he's basically going to try to talk you out of it.
Yeah, essentially. But basically what this issue is doing is let's set up the rules for the time travel.
Yeah.
Do not interact with Bruce. Do not interact with Clark, which essentially means you're on your own. You can't go to the people in that era for help.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he ends up not 35 years in the past, only 30 years in the past. So the events that they were meant to stop have already started rolling.
Yeah.
And we're in this sort of version of a 5-year future, basically. What did you think of this issue?
It was so fucking cool.
Yeah, you like
I fucking love this book. I want more.
Wow. I think this is like the most positive reaction I've gotten out of you for anything I've given you.
Yeah, I fucking love this book.
So let's talk about what are some of the things
I love time travel.
Sure.
I love these fucking weird ass bug bot things.
Right.
And the body horror is really rad.
Yeah.
I love the stakes at which things are happening. Like, it feels very much just like, oh shit, which I really like.
Yeah.
It feels like everything's super imperative and like you have to move fast. The art is for the most part pretty cool. It's a little bit more sort of more Jim Lee than I would like it to be.
Largely house style.
Yeah, for sure it is. It's not
big
really,
event book.
It's not really my style, but I really like the storytelling. I like the sort of vignettes that you get from like what's going on. It gives you for such a short book, I have I get what's going on. I can easily visualize it. That gives you that post-apocalyptic feeling with the first sort of page with the Flash. Feels like you're with this sort of like rebellion group or whatever.
Right.
Like, it feels like it's it's well placed within this sort of genre, getting a lot of the sort of similar tropes, but adding superheroes to it, which I think is really like it's a really fun way to kind of make that happen. Because I wouldn't want them to try to like go beyond it. I think like, okay, take a genre and adapt that to include superheroes. I think that's a really good way. I think that's when DC does these event books the best. That's why I think Blackest Night works well, because it's like, take zombies, just add superheroes to that.
Sure, yeah.
Take these tropes and don't try to change them. Just you take them as they are, but then add a superhero to it and see how that would change things. Use the superheroes as a way to make these story genres different, rather than trying to like auto flip those on their head. I think if they get too ambitious, that's when these things kind of get crazy.
Sure, yeah.
So I really like that sort of storytelling. I think that to get so much across, it makes me feel like I already know what's going on. Like I don't even need to read a lot of the text. I could just look through the imagery and go like, I got it. I know what's going on. It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
It's a fucking rad little book, and it makes me want to like read the trade.
Nice. Well, I mean, that's awesome. I'd say that is the most excited you've ever been about something I've given you to read. 6
out of 5 capes, baby.
Wow. Nice. That's actually awesome. Well, I have this whole series. So
I'd fucking read the shit out of it.
This will not be a spoiler, but I'll just give a little bit of context before we get into
I also
the
like
questions.
that DC says the New 52 above it.
Well, that's the actual title of this. Is the New 52 Futures End.
Which is interesting, because I don't know up to that point if they were like, if everybody was just calling them New 52, or if that was
all the books had the phrase the New 52.
Oh, did they?
At the top, just to.
I wasn't sure if that was a thing that DC created or if that people were just saying about it.
No, that was like the branding for that big relaunch.
Okay. Right.
So that was all part of that.
Yeah.
A little bit of context for the 5-year future, because we'll be answering lots of questions about this. Couple of big key points. So this future also involves a version of what was happening over on Earth 2. So at the time that this was coming out, Earth 2 was in an event called World's End, where Apocalypse and Darkseid were invading.
Great movie.
Were invading Earth 2 again, and basically they were winning. And that story ultimately ends with the destruction of Earth 2.
Oh, shit.
And a bunch of the refugees end up on these big arcs sort of floating through space.
Yeah.
What this book does, this version of the 5-year future, is that they get a signal from Brother Eye on Earth 1 that alerts them to that universe. They enter that universe, but Darkseid and his parademons follow, and a massive war erupts that between Earth 1, Earth 2, and Darkseid. And so the 5-year future that Terry lands in is a future post that war, where there's some Earth 2 refugees living on Prime Earth, where that war has sort of shaped the planet and the way people view their heroes. And some heroes are different. Superman's been wearing a mask, and you haven't seen his face since the war. There's some like big sort of pieces in there. So that's sort of the 5-year future we are in at that point in time. It's not like a robo body horror future yet. That penny hasn't dropped. Brother Eye hasn't assimilated yet. But we're in a future that is sort of kicked off by Brother Eye, but involves these Earth 2 characters, and is sort of like a post-war kind of setup.
It's fucking dope.
Well, I'm excited to get you to read the rest of it. So, I mean, if you're excited about that one, then...
you add some sci-fi elements to it, and I generally am pretty up for it. And anything genre is really sort of my wheelhouse.
We'll talk about it as we go through. A lot of shit happens in this book, and it goes from stuff on Earth with characters that are very like grounded, like Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Goes out to the fucking farthest reaches of space. It includes Brainiac, the Atom, Frankenstein, Amethyst, Deathstroke, Big Barda, Mr. Miracle. Like everyone is in this. It's massive.
And this came out when? Sort of?
5-6 years ago? Probably more than that now. I'm probably being generous, but something like that.
What did it say on this?
Actually, here. Let's have a little look. 2014 to 2015.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Is the span over which it came.
Yeah, it's like 4 years
48
ago.
issues.
4 or 5 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so.
You're right on the money.
Yeah.
You want to get in these questions?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right. First question is on Facebook.
Go to the face and the book. Go to the Facebook.
Comes from the most interesting resident of them all.
Andrew Delgado.
That's right, my friend.
I was glad I got that right. It could have been Roland Sid.
Stay nerdy, my friend.
Or Stephen Marion Almagro.
Don't start naming them. It's gonna all fall apart like sand through my hands.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
All right. Andrew asks, what did you think of the premise that this was where the New 52 would inevitably lead without the fundamental changes Rebirth would provide? On a more important note, why did Barry think it was a good idea to grow out a beard in that costume?
Well, sure. Yeah. So we talked about Old Man Flash there that we saw in that 35-year future. He has this big white sort of Santa beard that pokes out from his cowl, which is kind of funny. It's a funny look, but I think it's just like no one's got time to fucking shave. They're barely keeping it together. That world is a grim world.
Yes.
They're basically all about to die. Like there is no winning, essentially. That's why Batman is planning to go back in time. That's not a winning move. That's
Sorry, he's going to do what? He's going to go back in time. Sorry, you can't not do that.
Where you're going, you don't need bats.
But you do need this suit. Now come over here. You bitch.
Keep it together, Alfred.
Oh, God.
Right.
Just don't go too far back in time where we might try to stop someone's parents from dying. Because obviously that's something that needs to happen. It's a fixed point in time. No one wants that to change.
Fixed point in time.
Yeah. No, we want to find out that Joe Chill was definitely more. We don't.
No one wants to know that Joe Chill.
Yeah. We don't need to know more that it was Joe Chill. Like we already have 100% certain that he's the one who did that.
Whatever you do, just don't go back too far. Don't look in the alley.
And don't cross your streams.
I apologize to you, but there's going to be some spoilers as we go through this. But I don't think it's going to ruin your reading of the book because it's still pretty interesting.
Okay.
So the question is that was this ever meant to be the official future of the New 52 timeline? And the answer is no. And the story itself, I think, deals with that. Like I said, it kicks off because the reason that Earth 2 war happens is because Brother Eye sends a signal that they then trace. And, and this series eventually ends with time travel back the extra 5 years to Brother Eye and stopping that signal being sent. So the Earth 2 refugees never find Prime Earth.
Oh, okay.
They actually end up caught up in the events of Convergence, which is a different event that spun out of this. So they never find Prime Earth. That war never happens, and it actually stops that entire future from ever existing.
Oh, shit.
Not every piece of it, but all of the stuff about the war and how those characters end up. And essentially, the main thrust of that Future's End timeline is wiped from existence by the end of the series. So this was never going to be the future of the New 52 because even in the series, they undo it.
Oh, fuck.
So it wasn't that Rebirth changed it. It was that Future's End said this was like, this future ended, right? There's multiple futures, a 5-year future, a 35-year future, and they end. New futures replace them. And Earth 2's future changes as well because of it. That's the futures that end in Future's End. You know what I mean?
Futures ending.
So this was never the official, like going to, like if the New 52 kept going, we would never catch up to this.
Oh, okay.
It's only canonical in that it was the future until the future was changed. Right? But it was never going to be like, we're going to keep writing these books until we catch up with where we were in Future's End. That was never going to happen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Get ready for some trippy time travel logic.
Apparently. God, is this a Flash book?
Well, yeah, I mean, Flash is kind of barely in it.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. All right. Well, the next question comes from a podcast favorite and past guest, Chad Bogelman. Bogle. Who asks, how did you feel about Space Jesus Kyle Rayner in the pages of the New Guardians Futures End tie-in? On the one hand, I'm always happy when Kyle becomes a torchbearer of some kind, i.e., his first turn in his OG series at being Ion. But on the other, I'm a bit irritated. They made him succumb to the dark side briefly.
Sure. So in addition to the 48 issue main series, they made a bunch of these one shots. Every regular series for 1 month, they all put out just like a tie-in issue that was like where
they usually do that, right? With these big ones, with these big events.
Yes, except because this is set in the future, it was like, just where would these books be if they were part of this future?
Oh.
It was like, where would these characters be in part of this future?
That's fucking cool.
So it had nothing to do with the contemporary stories that were happening in those titles.
Yeah.
Except, I guess, that in this New Guardians one with Kyle Rayner, he's a White Lantern, but he's sort of using the power of... I can't remember if he explicitly says it in this or not, but he uses the power of the White Lantern kind of to create like these utopias, in quotes, because he's sort of like stripping people of their free will a little bit. What this is to, again, it's been a while since I read that one shot, so I don't remember if it was explicit or not, but this feels a lot like it was either setting up or referencing events that would transpire in Godhead, which was a sort of like Lantern universe crossover with the New Gods, in which they discover that Kyle Rayner, as the White Lantern, has the life equation in him, which is, of course, the opposite to the anti-life equation. And the New Gods come after the Lantern Corps to try and replicate the life equation so they can beat Darkseid.
Yeah.
So what this one shot feels to me is that it's like he's using excuse me, using the life equation to create this utopia, but has stripped people of their free will. What happens though is that there's like one alien that it just doesn't take. They don't get mind wiped or brainwashed or whatever. And they keep coming up against Kyle Rayner, and then eventually it's sort of revealed that like it was a test. And he was like, I, with this power, have drifted too far. You know, it's that Manhattan thing. I've drifted too far from humanity or from, not humanity, but life.
Yeah.
You are the person I trust with this power. And he sort of destroys himself and leaves the White Lantern ring to this character, whose name I don't remember. It ends up being largely inconsequential. Like, this never crosses the events of the main Futures End book. It's just like, oh shit, what would a New Guardian story be? We have no part in this event, and you just do something over here.
Yeah.
It does feel like it's part of Godhead, so it's kind of doing its own thing and just using that future as like a way to maybe introduce some ideas.
Yeah.
But it's not really, other than being set in that timeline, it's not really part of this event. So in the way that you kind of had a problem with those Booster Gold... Excuse me.
Do you want to go get a drink?
Sorry?
Do you want to go get a drink?
I have one. It's just not working.
Oh. Do you need another Ricola?
I've had like 4.
Oh, okay.
In the way that you didn't like those Booster Gold tie-in issues of Blackest Night.
Yeah.
Because they were maybe too off in their own corner. I kind of feel the same way about this New Guardians book. It's fine. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of boring to do the same, like, oh, he's achieved too much power, he's drifting away kind of thing. Like, that's interesting. It's a cool character study, but we can't always do it.
No, exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, it's fine. It's not my favorite. I don't hate it by any means, but I just don't think it's special. I even think Godhead does a better job of dealing with some of this life equation stuff than this one shot does. So, yeah, it's just kind of there for me.
Yeah. All right. Next question from We've Only Just Dan
Done started the fire.
But he didn't, because he's done. He's done.
Nice.
Yeah. Who asks, why exactly did Tim Drake leave the Earth 2 refugees stranded at the end?
So, I'm really sorry, Richard. This is a pretty big spoiler.
I'm going to not pay attention.
Terry McGinnis does not make it out of this series.
Ah!
Near the end, Tim Drake assumes the role of Batman Beyond, travels the extra 5 years back, and he's the one who basically, logic convinces Brother Eye not to send this signal, because he says, like, I've seen what the future is. It's a war. Don't let Earth 2 know we're here, basically. And Brother Eye agrees and doesn't send the signal.
Oh, wow.
And so the Earth 2 refugees never find Prime Earth, which in this Future's End timeline, like, technically, yeah, they find somewhere to live, but, like, they're treated like subhuman. Like, it's pretty bad what Earth 2 residents are subjected to in this world. What ends up happening to them, though, because that timeline got changed, is they actually end up being caught up. They get captured by Telos, outside kind of the main multiverse, outside the orrery. They're brought to this world called Telos, where they and a bunch of other missing and deleted timelines are forced to fight in a sort of like gladiatorial combat for who gets to be put back into existence. That was the conceit of Convergence, basically. It was a way so you'd be like, what if Kingdom Come like universe fought like the Flashpoint universe? It was like, it's basically just like, it was like a big stupid kind of fan service thing.
Yeah.
But in that Convergence series, what ends up happening ultimately is that Telos planet is then moved to Earth 2, like into that universe, to replace the destroyed Earth from their war with Apocalypse, and they basically get a new shot. They get a new planet in their universe to make a new Earth 2, basically. That's sort of what ends up happening to them when this Future's End timeline is undone by Tim Drake.
Jesus.
So, but the question is, what do I think? I mean, Tim Drake doesn't know what happens to them, doesn't know it ends up okay.
No.
Tim Drake just says, like, let them float in space, basically.
Yeesh.
But again, I think that's just it's just how desperate things are, you know?
Yeah.
Tim Drake didn't even see the 35-year future, right?
Mm-hmm.
He only was in that 5-year bit, but just like the stakes, what ends up happening with Terry and with, you know, that people are traveling through time to even stop this from happening, that, you know, Brainiac attacks during this event, that Brother Eye kind of goes rogue during this event. All of these things happen and he goes, no, like, I actually have to stop this. And Tim just does it. I think that's a thing that Tim can do that maybe Dick can't, is maybe make those hard choices. I think Tim is better equipped for that.
Yeah.
He's a bit more like Bruce that way, I think. Not callous, but pragmatic. And I think that's why I think that's why it made sense that Tim ends up being the one doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Well, we're leaving Facebook and we're heading on over to Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah. First question comes from Cosmic TM. Stacy, sexy texter.
That was a new one.
Yeah.
That was nice.
It was in a mood. It was in jazzy.
You're so happy. I've never seen you this happy after I make you read something.
It's because I'm pretending like my dog's not in the hospital.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Cosmic DM asks, rank the characters that have been Batman based on how much you want to see more stories of them in that role.
Oh, sure.
So
very loosely connected to
yes.
this. People that have been Batman. I'm not interested in Jason Todd as Batman.
Yeah.
It happened briefly during Battle for the Cowl. I could do without it. I also, by the same token, I don't need Jean-Paul Valley as Batman. He's more interesting as Azrael. Dick as Batman is fun and interesting, but mostly in the context of pairing him with Damian. If it's just about inheriting the mantle, I actually kind of prefer that he goes off and does his own thing. Tim, to me, makes the most sense to actually inherit the Bat legacy.
Yeah.
Tim as Batman makes sense to me. Damian as Batman, we've gotten some visions of this future, and it's, you know, I don't like the idea that Damian never learns. Like, he should be fine by the time he's an adult to be Batman, but we kind of always paint him as, like, just teetering on the edge of insanity.
Yeah.
But I just don't like that character as much as I like Tim Drake.
Yeah.
Terry McGinnis is a great Batman. A really, really great Batman. For many different reasons. Tim Drake is a great Batman because he is the closest to Bruce, I think. Terry is a great Batman because he is maybe the furthest from it. Even further than Dick. He's even more like part of it. I mean, he understands the gravity of his position, but Terry is also just like it's fun to be Batman. And he's young, and Terry, of course, is canonically a child of Bruce. He's Damian's half-brother because he's made with cloned like DNA from Bruce. So yeah, I think my rankings of who do I want to see more as Batman, Tim is first, Terry is second, Dick is third, and then it's Damian, like Jean-Paul Valley, and then Jason's like right at the bottom.
Well, what about Elliot Ness?
No. I would be okay with
little Brain.
No. I like the idea too, though. If there was a gap in who was Batman, that Batgirl or Batwoman just fills in.
Have they done that?
And also on Earth 2, at the end of Earth 2 Society, Helena Wayne goes from being the Huntress to being Batman. She doesn't go by Batwoman.
Oh, that's right.
Helena Wayne becomes Batman on Earth 2, and I actually really like that. That's my favorite one, I think. But yeah.
I want more Commissioner Gordon as Batman.
Commissioner Gordon is Batman. Yeah, I didn't even bring that one up. You're right. Yeah. Gordon Bats was kind of interesting, but it almost defeated the purpose to have the GCPD sanction a vigilante.
What I would rather is I think the storyline what I would have preferred though is that he realizes that they need a vigilante. And
I mean, that's kind of what happens in Super Heavy. He goes off protocol a bunch,
and I want that to extend, and then just like lots of moments of he realizing why Batman does the things you do, and you really get sort of like a separate perspective of like why Batman makes those decisions.
I think you do get a bit of that in that Super Heavy arc, but certainly it's not the focus. The focus is more on like the horror of Mr. Bloom and stuff like that.
I just think that would be good, and then of course Thomas Wayne is my number one.
Sure, and I didn't even go to that one. The Thomas Wayne one, I think I've seen what I need to see. I don't know that I need to see more. I think it's cool, but I'm not interested in more of it, I think. I want so much more. Give it to me. He should be reading the current Batman run. He somehow made it into the main timeline. He's working with Bane.
Yeah, wasn't Superman was Batman at one point?
I think...
It was like a switch bodies thing? Or?
Well, there's an episode of the animated series where Batman goes missing and Superman fills in as him, and Bane tries to fight him and can't figure out why he can't beat him.
Oh,
which is pretty funny.
That's really funny. And Alfred was Batman at one point, too.
Alfred has put like the cowl on and stuff like that. Not like for a protracted period of time, but like for short like appearances. Yes,
where he's just like, I need to be here, and somebody needs to be Batman.
Alfred has posed as Batman, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So. The Dr. DC podcast will be back after this quick break.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Hey there, residents. This episode of the Dr. DC podcast is brought to you thanks to our amazing sponsors, Great Lakes Grooming Co. They sent us some awesome products to try, so let's check them out. We have the pine tar soap. This is amazing. We use it all the time at my house. It's a really like wonderful sort of peppermint smell to it. It's a traditional recipe that they've developed themselves, and it's awesome. It's a great way to get clean and smell good every day. As well, I love the peppermint lip balm, especially this time of the year, living where we do, constantly getting sort of dry lips, and it's a huge pain. So definitely want to use that. Great Lakes Grooming is meant to be easy to use, rain or shine. All their products are purposely designed and environmentally responsible, handmade here in Canada, really ready for adventure wherever one may find themselves. For you lucky listeners, we also have an opportunity where you can get 10% off on Great Lakes Grooming regular priced products by going to www.greatlakesgrooming.com and using the promo code DRDC podcast. That's right. www.greatlakesgrooming.com. Promo code is DRDC podcast. Back to the show.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
All right, next question. We are leaving Facebook. Nope, we're already there. We're already at Twitter. And this comes from TCS Podcast, who asks, do you think the world is ready for a Batman Beyond movie? Who would your dream casting for that be? Oh, gosh, my favorite question.
Well, this is tangentially related to Future's End. So let's adjust this question a little bit.
Yeah.
And make it all about Future's End. Let's say we're getting a Batman Beyond movie, and let's say that the basic premise is something akin to Future's End.
Oh.
That Terry McGinnis is sent back in time to prevent the horrifying future of Neo Gotham or something.
Okay, yeah.
Who do you cast?
I love this now. I mean, I still want I got in a fight with my brother the other day because he said that I took his idea for having Timothy Olyphant as Batman.
Okay.
Technically, he said that it should be Nightwing, and I said that was too old to be Nightwing, and that it should be Batman. So technically, it was different, but he said I didn't give him credit for it. But whatever.
Do you really want to air this out now?
I'm just saying. I just think that that's something that needs to be said. I think that for me, I would love, obviously you need a younger actor.
Yeah.
The one that kind of comes right to my mind right now is Timothy Chalamet.
Right. Hasn't he recently said that he wants to be Robin?
Well, there you go.
Right. He might be slightly too young on the flip side. I don't know what sort of exact age I'd be looking at, but like someone... Oh man. Oh shoot. Who's the guy that played like the Red Ranger in that Power Rangers movie?
Oh fuck.
What's his name? Dacre Montgomery, is that his name?
Is that the guy?
You know who I'm talking about?
The guy from
right?
Stranger Things?
I don't know. I don't watch Stranger Things.
I believe it's I'll
Do you know who I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what that is. It's the guy from Stranger Things. He's fucking amazing on Stranger Things, and you would love it if you would fucking watch.
I think him as Terry McGinnis, but I want Ben Affleck as Bruce in both like times. I want his Batman to be the one that Terry's trying to avoid, and in the future, I want them to like age him up. I want him to play old man Bruce.
Because Dacre, I think he's too much of like. I think that like he characterized wild cards a little bit too like good. I don't know if he would be a good Terry McGinnis. I think he'd be more of like a Jason Todd or like Tim Drake type. I don't see him in that role. No,
okay,
I think
I guess what I'm saying is that's sort of the age / build I'm picturing for Terry. Something akin to that. I don't have a catalog of actors just ready in my head, but
because that's my only. It's got to be somebody who can play the sort of like ideological, like, but also sort of wild, but not like still like. There's almost like a wise child sort of vibe, but like he's still like it's like a fun like. It's like there's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles vibe to this kid.
Right.
That like I think Dacre's a little too aggressive.
I think I would want Brother Eye also to not just be a computer voice, not be full of personality. Like I wouldn't want to go as far as James Spader as Ultron, but somewhere in there where there's like you can sense the malice, because I think you get that even in the the way they write Brother Eye is that it's maybe just a machine voice, but like it has it can want vengeance. Like Brother Eye is sentient. It's not just calculating. So I think I'd want someone in there that could maybe just only with their voice, because Brother Eye doesn't even really have a body. Someone that could convey that sort of like malice would be interesting.
I think I have the actor
for Terry.
Yeah,
sure.
I think I figured it out. Ansel Elgort.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Fucking,
I know who that is.
Yeah. Baby Driver.
Yeah.
I think he would fucking nail that role.
I'd be up for that.
Though I think that if they were willing to do something like with like a not white character, somebody like Dev Patel
Yeah.
would be a really good option. The guy, the Slumdog Millionaire guy, I feel like he would do a really good job. I think he's got that sort of
I'm up
wily
for all of those. Yeah.
I'm definitely into that.
Yeah. Do I think the world is ready for a Batman Beyond movie? Like, look, we're getting
Fuck yeah, I think we are.
we're getting a movie.
I think we're overdue.
We're getting a movie with like Black Canary and Huntress and Renee Montoya and Black Mask in
My
it.
father
You know, we're
that.
getting Maxwell Lord in that new Wonder Woman movie. Like, I don't think anything's off the table. And Lord knows Batman is a franchise that will keep coming back to. Eventually, someone is going to say, what is the thing we haven't done with Batman yet? And the answer will be Batman Beyond, and they'll do it. I think it's just a matter of time. I don't know when it'll happen, but I'm convinced it's a when and not an if.
I can't believe they haven't already done it, to be honest. I think that's like wrought with a bunch of like, you could do a sweet like Blade Runner-y, like futuristic, like you get
Make up some villains, you know,
That's what's good
or
too.
use their roster of villains.
They've
that
got
you wouldn't,
great roster.
'cause you know, you got Blight and Ink and the Jokers, and you've got Spellbinder, and there's all sorts of characters for Beyond.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Let us know what you guys think of your characters. All right. Next question comes from James Paulson, good old son of Paul.
Yeah, the Senator.
That's right. Yes, Senator Paul, who asks, what was Brother Eye's main goal? And what effects did Terry's death have on the timeline as a whole?
Sorry, Richard.
Whatever. It's the one time that this really affects me.
Right. So when you get to a certain point in the series, they reveal like basically what happened to that future that you read in the number 0. What happened to make that 35-year future? And essentially, you learn Brother Eye was created jointly between Batman and Mr. Terrific. And they create it basically to protect humanity. And Brother Eye is sort of deactivated when Earth 2 shows up and the war starts. But eventually Brother Eye gets itself reactivated, makes its way. It's sort of stuck on this island for a bit. It's just like a program that can't get off this island until it does. Basically what it has decided is that the biggest danger to humanity is humanity.
Of course.
You know, this is like not new science fiction
Tale
territory.
as old as time.
Yeah, very
song
much.
as old as rhyme.
Kill the people now. But Brother Eye decides that humanity is humanity's biggest threat. So he's going to impose order by basically like cybernetically assimilating and controlling everyone. That's the goal. Is just to completely eradicate all life. The reason Frankenstein in that, issue number 0 gets spared is because he's not alive.
Oh.
He's not life.
Oh,
he's he's undead.
Yeah.
Brother Eye could give a shit about that. Through this series, we keep getting flashes into the 35-year future, and the one person that Brother Eye is deliberately keeping alive is Mr. Terrific, to make him like look at the world he built. Basically,
Jesus,
it's really fucked up. And he basically keeps Mr. Terrific alive that way. Some other fucked up shit happens though. So Brother Eye knows, after the events of this issue, Brother Eye knows that time travel was used. And decides that he can't allow the timeline to be changed. And Brother Eye captures Bruce, but does not, waits to assimilate him. Basically takes him and takes the Joker and surgically attaches them to each other. So both brains live in one head and each face is on one side. And then, and then kind of assimilates them into this thing that like the neck wheels around to switch like heads. And that makes them this sort of Joker cyborg with Bruce in there, which is super fucked up, and then sends that thing back in time to kill Terry McGinnis.
Oh my god!
which is very fucked up because Bruce isn't 100% gone. He's not just a sim. Like, there's points where Bruce from the past has to fight this Joker android thing, and the Bruce face on the Joker Borg says, like, kill him, which is not a Bruce thing to say, but he's also trying to, like, wipe himself out of the timeline.
Yeah.
And then the Joker's like, no, that would be no fun. But there's also Brother Eye in there too. It's super, super fucked up. You should just look it up. Just look up like Futures End Joker Borg or something like that, and you'll see what it looks like. So Brother Eye wants this goal more than just existing in his own timeline. He knows the risk that he's under by letting Terry McGinnis go. He wants to preserve the timeline as is because he's so close, basically, to assimilating everyone. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's super messed up.
Yeah, anyways, yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next question.
Okay. I know. I see what's happening here.
What do you mean? I don't understand what I could be possibly trying to do. It's not like I have to immediately come up with a song and didn't look at what the next question was and had to figure out how to do that.
Can I do one?
Yeah.
Raging G, don't give a fuck. Raging G, I'm gonna feed this duck.
I mean, that's a variation on one I've already done. But
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's the best I could do.
Yeah, I think that was pretty close to the last one.
Oh,
Rubber duck, remember?
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. It
was a rubber something else. It was something I didn't expect to be rubber.
Okay. Raging G, I like the blade. Raging G, I like to dance in the glade.
In the glade? Wow. Just like, yeah. Is a glade just like a fancy, not shitty marsh?
No,
is that the idea?
No, I think that
that it's like a nice swamp. Is that what a glade is? I don't know. Like,
no, it's like a forest clearing. It's
it doesn't have to have like a water component to it.
No, it's just like an open forest area.
Like dancing in the glade is nice.
Yeah,
I studied the glade.
Oh. No, I studied the blade.
Oh, sorry.
Dance in the glade.
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry.
Raging G asks, how do characters know that Brother Eye says, I am, instead of I am? Like, how do they know that he says EYEM instead of I am? Is it a pronunciation thing or just that they can read the text balloons?
I mean, further to my point that I think that Brother Eye has a bit of personality, I think that Brother Eye like stresses that word. So yeah, all through the comic, all through this series, anytime Brother Eye is referring to itself, it uses EYE to replace like the subject pronoun I.
That's
really but I imagine that if you were there in person, it would be like saying like, finally, I am about to succeed. You will fail. And I will win. And you're just like, damn, I get it. But he just always puts the emphasis on it.
That's really funny.
If he's the sort...
I think it's a lot of winking that he's...
If he's the sort of... Well, I mean, for him, it's just a blink. If he's the sort of like malicious AI that keeps Mr. Terrific alive just to watch him destroy the world...
Yeah.
Then he's definitely a dick enough to just over-enunciate the word I.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's a really
hard-hitting questions.
All right. Now we're leaving Twitter and heading over to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them. I don't know where they went.
I know where they are. They're downstairs.
You bastard.
First question on, and the only question on Instagram comes from the real Josh Gill.
Yeah, Gil.
Sexy Gil. Posting the thirst trap.
They're not.
He knows. He's doing it on purpose. He's commenting on it. He's doing everything but saying that's what they are. He knows what he's doing.
Okay.
Look at the way
Your Honor.
You can clearly see by the way that Josh says, not really a question, but Tim taking over for Terry just cements for me that he is the best Robin and would be the perfect successor to Batman.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's talk a little bit about Tim in this future, since he's come up a couple of times. So, in this 5-year future where Terry ends up, Tim Drake is officially dead.
J'accuse.
But there's this fellow named Cal Corcoran, who runs this bar called the Wounded Duck. It's another name for a duck, a drake. And,
is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is why his current code name is Drake, and people hate it.
Oh.
But whatever. But Cal Corcoran runs this bar, and basically Tim Drake has been quote-unquote dead since the Earth 2 war.
Oh.
Basically all of the Titans were killed. The Teen Titans were killed, and Tim managed to survive, but then he was like, well, fuck it. Like, I've given enough, essentially. And he leaves the whole life behind. He makes a new identity for himself, and he just runs this bar. This bar, though, happens to be like kind of near / across the street from Terrific, which is Mr. Terrific's company, where Terry McGinnis has to break in. It is like his girlfriend is a friend of Jason Rush, who is part of Firestorm, who is implicated in events in this series, and eventually she fuses with Jason to become Firestorm. It's also the bar where a couple of villains, Plastique and the Key and the Coil, meet because they're going to break into Terrific, and then Terry sort of works with them. He works with these 3 villains. So all these things keep happening. Lois Lane figures out that Cal Corcoran is Tim Drake. He's being slowly pulled back into the life.
Oh, okay.
Basically, as this series rolls on. And to the point where when Terry dies, Tim is like, well, I'm the only one who can or should, or he's just like, fine, let's do this shit. And I think he views it as a bit of like a suicide mission. Like that's his last contribution to heroism, sort of thing. That's not what happens. He doesn't die, but he does go back in time, and like I say, he prevents the sort of initiating event. The Earth 2 never finds Prime Earth. But yeah, Tim Drake through this series is trying to leave that life behind, but he's being like continually pulled in by metas and things like that as it's happening. I mean, I think you can make the argument that it's this series is also saying that he is the successor to the Batmantle, and it's a destiny he cannot shake.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think you could make the argument that this series is agreeing with Josh Gill and saying that, basically, because he goes from just guy running a bar to being Batman Beyond and ending up in the Beyond future as Batman Beyond.
What do you think?
So, yeah.
What do you think?
Like about, do I think he's the perfect? Yeah, I mean, I think I've come around to that. I think I used to think it had to be Dick, but I actually prefer him being something different. I like him as Nightwing.
I agree. Yeah.
I think Tim makes more sense to be someone to actually become Batman.
Well, and I think that the biggest problem that Batman made with Dick was that he gave him too much freedom and like taught him too well. And it's a lesson that he had to learn moving forward, was that like he needs to keep them just giving them just enough that they stay with him.
That, but also Tim understands what Batman is, because keep in mind, Tim was not recruited. Bruce didn't find him. Tim found Bruce.
Oh.
Tim figured out who Batman was. He saw that Batman was getting more and more violent after the death of Jason Todd. He was like, this can't stand. He actually deduced who Batman was, broke into the Batcave and said, you need a Robin, I'm going to do that for you.
Well, then there you go.
Like, if anyone understands what that role is, it's Tim, I think.
Well, yeah, I think that now that sounds like it's the perfect person. Yeah. That's fucking awesome. All right. We're leaving Instagram and heading on over to Reddit,
where everyone's nice and no one's ever mean.
No, not even a little. Super nice guys.
Thank you for being so nice. Actually, our subreddit is lovely.
Yeah. They've gone wild with fandom.
Wow.
First question comes from my favorite name, Refrigininja.
That's a great name. Great handle. Well done.
Ka-cha, broccoli. Yeah, milk. Refrigerant.
I mean, if anything, ninjas wouldn't make those sounds because they're meant to be stealthy.
Yeah, but they're in a fridge.
What?
They're in a refrigerator.
They're in the fridge?
Yeah. So that's like they like look. Ninjas still need to like relax and like have downtime.
In the fridge?
No, but they're going into the fridge to like get stuff.
To relax?
Yeah, and they're just like having a fun time by themselves, being like, "Ha-cha, milk."
Right. This is flawless logic.
Good time, ninjas. Refrigerator Ninja asks, I know that Beast Boy can that's got the wrong question.
Nice. Let's see who gets to it first.
Boom. First question comes from DEAC5C667.
Wow. I mean, we've made the rolls off the tongue joke about other people, but like, dear God.
I'm assuming that like there's a way to read some leet way to read this that I'm not seeing, but
yeah, I'm not getting it.
I'm not getting it.
I'm not cool enough, or I'm too cool. I think I'm too cool to read this handle.
Yeah, I think so. Well, whatever this person's name is says. How do the events of Future's End connect to what was happening in Earth 2 World's End?
Right. So, kind of like I mentioned, at the end of Earth 2 World's End, their Earth is destroyed and they're in these big arc ships. So, Future's End posits that they find the prime Earth and that it kicks off this massive war between the two Earths and Apocalypse. It's by the end, because that timeline gets rewritten, like I said, they end up sort of wrapped up in the events of Convergence, but that's not the only connection to the Convergence. So, that planet they end up on, Telos, that has just like all the other sort of like deleted timelines, Kingdom Come, Flashpoint, all those other things.
Yeah.
It is a planet where Telos, you're meant to think that Telos is in charge of it, who is a creature who is also the planet.
Yes.
But it's actually the whole thing was the architect of it was like a multiversal brainiac, a brainiac basically beyond the parallel Earths of the multiverse.
Oh, shit.
This massive kind of beast. But Brainiac goes missing, and Telos is like, oh, I'll make them fight. It's essentially what Convergence is about. The Brainiac God goes missing in Future's End. He shows up to invade Earth, and they use Ray Palmer shrinking tech and Mr. Terrific, and they use Brother Eye. They activate Brother Eye to process all of this programming to basically shrink and capture the Brainiac God.
Oh, fuck. That's cool.
So that is why Brainiac is missing from Convergence. So even though this Future's End timeline got deleted, because Telos is a world outside of space and time, them affecting Brainiac there still affected that world, even though that timeline no longer existed, which meant that the events of Convergence took place, which ultimately led to them inheriting that planet and returning to their universe.
Jesus.
So in a weird way, even though the Future's End timeline doesn't exist anymore, it still set the course for where Earth 2 ended up after World's End.
Sure.
You follow?
I think I need it in like a magical timeline drawing.
Yeah, that's right. If only my drawing skills were up to snuff.
I know. Sure. Next question. Also from Refrigerant Ninja.
Well, for the first time.
Yeah, because I cut out that other part.
Good edit. Edit point?
It's been a while.
That's a throwback.
Yeah.